Welcome everybody out there. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening, everyone.
Uh-oh, what am I doing? Welcome everybody out there. Thank you for being with us. I gotta cut the feedback off.
Good evening, everyone.
Uh-oh, what am I doing? Welcome everybody. Okay, good. I turned that off. I thought I had that turned off. Oh well. Okay, everybody, this is Information Man. Welcome to the broadcast tonight. And I have the one and only Nicole Ali. She is the truth. The sister is bad. The sister is real. We've done a collaboration before when we had everyone on the panel that one night when we had True Royal Queen, we had Cap, we had Oyapa, we had a lot of folks on. And so I feel that this sister is completely real. She's dabbles in the science. Every time I listen to her on her YouTube channel, I'm blown away by the things that she states and she says. So she's a true, woke individual, knows her stuff. And tonight, just this past week, you noticed that I did a video or a live stream, I'm sorry, about Black people and travel. Well, we decided to get back into it, and I want to get a perspective, or we want a perspective from a fantastic woman in Nicole and give her flavor to this. So we're going to delve more into this phenomenon that they say it's going on, which is called a Black movement around the diaspora of the world, travel. We're going to probably talk a little bit about some of the best places to travel for Black folks. We're going to get into, I know a lot of brothers were asking me out there, hey, do you have a something for Black men? What about Black men's travel groups? Okay, so I'm gonna pull up some articles tonight. We're gonna pull up a few articles tonight that show exactly what we're talking about tonight, that there are Black travel clubs for Black men. There are travel clubs where you can cluster people together, okay? You know, in groups. I'm gonna pull up something on the web that shows you how to get started if you're trying to create your own, and Nicole can appreciate this, your own travel group, because we talked earlier today and she said, hey, we need to consider creating our own travel groups. And hey, all of us in the chat room tonight and all of us that have been congregating with ourselves together on YouTube, maybe we should consider creating a travel group amongst ourselves, and maybe that could be a way that we could meet. I know Be Fabulous is talking about folks going up to the Detroit area to the Black Holocaust Museum. And I'm thinking maybe if we do an annual vacation group together, that would be a great way for us to all get together. Those of us on this YouTube that's been connecting with each other, for us to get together and have our own sort of retreat. I'm thinking that right now that it may be a great way to get us all together. Okay. Travel somewhere, do something. We can pick a place, the West Coast, East Coast, the South, depending on what we want to do, or decide that we're going to go abroad and leave America, which I think would be a good idea, because I'm going to try, and I'm probably going to have to go grab my tablet that has the audio, because I'm going to repeat that audio that I played the first time about Black people need a therapy away from white people. We need a therapy away from America to get away. So right now, what I'm going to do is let the fantastic Nicole Ali take over and say a few words to you folks out there while I go real quick, grab my tablet, because I just realized that I need to grab my tablet that has the audio that I need. That's right off of my speaker podcast system that's on the I'm a little tired, folks, but I'm gonna hang
I
in there.
know, I'm tired
I'm
too.
trying. Let me just shut my mouth up and give it off to Sister Nicole out there, folks. Give her some love in the chat room.
Take your time.
Give her some love, and I'm gonna go get this tablet with the information I need on there. So go ahead, sister.
Thank you. That was a uh, very big introduction. Uh, I don't know how to take that, but just to say thank you. I appreciate you for bringing me on your platform. Hi, Sonia. So there are 6 different points that we wanted to touch on today, if we can. Um, one was getting a passport, and I know a lot of people may know how to do that, but there's still a lot of misconceptions about the pricing and the money, the finances when it comes to paying for passports and then the books or the passport cards, um, which we can explain with one of the sections. The next section is simply getting back to us and having, like Information Man Show said, perhaps a Black travel group retreat. Um, I would like for us to be able to identify ourselves if we decide to form a group, with a name or something. Sonia sent me some really good names. If she wants to share those, then if you want to, you can in the chat room. I just didn't want to share them, without her permission. Another thing that's important when traveling is when we're talking about therapy is patronizing Black-owned businesses. I think that's extremely important. If we're traveling abroad, understanding cultures abroad, and potentially building networks with Black-owned businesses in other countries. Um, the third thing was answering the question, which I know the two of us probably won't be able to answer here, is what does it really mean to travel as a Black person? Because there are a lot of misconceptions about us traveling. There are a lot of fears that we have about traveling. So maybe we can get into that in the
Nicole, let me just
discussion.
not to
Hmm.
cut you off. Can
No, it's
you,
okay.
because you did a great job of reminding me of
Mhm.
Brother Muhammad Bey that I had on. Can you remind
Right.
everybody out there what he said in terms of having a plan? He said something
Oh,
that's right
yeah.
on point.
Yeah, he said make sure you bring money and you bring a plan, you bring some kind of strategy, and you're able to form a network, a business network with people that are there. It's best to have someone that you know, like maybe you know someone who's from Nigeria or from Ethiopia, and you have already have that connection with someone. But if you come there empty-handed, you're gonna look just like anybody else coming there empty-handed. They may not be as receptive to you. So coming there with resources and or a plan to help the people there gain more resources through business, that's very important. That was one of the main points I took from your discussion with him.
Well, I just was in the middle of miking up my other
Oh, no, it's
computer,
okay.
Facebook, because we got quite a few folks in the Facebook Live watching us as well. So I want to give a lot of shout out to everybody in the chat room and Facebook Live. Thank you for watching this broadcast tonight. What we're doing on YouTube. I want to thank everybody. I see we got my man Cap in there. We've got, I think, a few people will be coming in. Max Evans, how you doing, brother? I hope my man Underrated Darkness comes in tonight. Sonia sees. Thank you, sister. What I'll probably do tonight is put, and I should have did this already. I'll more than likely try to put a link in the chat room at some point if anybody wants to come in and do a Q&A at the end of this.
Mhm.
Well, let me go back in here. But let me see. Just want to make sure I got that there. So tonight I'll be prepared to put that in there. So, Sister Nicole, when we were talking about this before, um, what are the things that you're curious about? We talked about passports. Now, that's the basics now. Okay. A
Right.
lot of times, sometimes in general, Black people, we have had a sort of a village mentality. Sometimes, I'm just generalizing here, where we're afraid to leave our comfort zone. I mean, hell, there are people that live in Oakland, California right now who have never even been over to San Francisco. I kid you not. Okay. I lived there. I kid you not about that. So did I hit the mic on you, sister? I don't want you muted.
No, I was muting myself because this dog in here is about to get slapped. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, you got your pet there. Okay. But sometimes as Black people, we're afraid to explore.
Hmm.
So what are
Yes,
your
I mean, you can't be afraid to explore. That was one thing I was looking at earlier in an article. There's a video about that. It's a TED Talk. Um, there's a TED Talk about that where a young lady, I think her last name is Robinson,
mm-hmm.
where she talks about exploring, and she also talks about like reclaiming what was ours at one point. Here it is. Let's see. I hear myself echoing. I'm looking for it again. Hold on. I have so many links on here. Um,
Take your
Evita
time, sister.
Robinson. I found it.
Okay.
Reclaiming the Globe. It was a TED Talk from September 27th, 2017. And she talks about, I found it through the Travel Noir, but it comes off of Nomadness Travel
Mm-hmm.
Tribe. And so I'm putting the link in right now to that video.
Okay.
She talks about after traveling around the world and being a three-time expatriate, Evita Robinson, I think her middle name is Turquoise. She has a
Turquoise.
very, she has a very bright spirit. So she created the Nomadness Travel Tribe in 2011. So this has been around a long time.
Long
And it's
time.
just now gaining attention because there are so many other groups, as you know, I know, that we were talking about earlier today and just a few minutes ago. So they say that growing from 100 people to an international movement of thousands, No Madness is a homage to the Green Book. And the Green Book, if you know, was a community that outlined safe practices and safe spaces for conversation and travel for Black people. And
Mm-hmm.
so here they talk about travel for millennials of color, but they're specifically um, targeting Black people to travel more. And they also discussed crowdfunding, ways to save money. There are apps out there that help you put a little bit of your income into an extra savings account, help you hide that savings account from yourself so you won't know it's there, you won't touch it until it gives you an alert to go look in there. There's all kinds of things you can do with technology now. You can have the digital reminders or on your calendar that tell you when your trip is coming up, how much money you have saved, will you make it to your deadline, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
This will be after you've purchased your flight and your hotel and everything. But for spending money, you have these things you can set up. Historically, it has been so difficult for, and still is, as we see, for Black people to travel. Your movement is monitored 24/7. And so to have the freedom to leave and go somewhere and just experience different things, it's a new thing to Black people. And I think around the world, like you said, you have people even here, people that don't leave their city blocks. They don't leave their city a lot of times. And when I travel, and other people have said, like when they travel different places, we don't see us traveling that much, unless it's for business. Like, put it this way, most of the Black people I see when I travel are at the airports that I'm traveling to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like dang, I just feel like there's something wrong with that picture. Where you are work. How ironic is that? You work at an airport where everybody's traveling in and out different places, and you're there working all day. And I'm looking at every plane. I don't see much of us there. And so, one way to combat that, because there is a financial issue behind that, clearly. So you have Black crowdfunding. You have there's B nomics that can help. A lot of it is fear, but of course we know I'm putting in the chat room the website. A lot of it is fear, but I think it switches between fear and finance because you can have the finance but still be afraid to travel outside the country, right?
Yes.
Because of the stigma on, I think Muhammad Bey talked about that, the stigma of certain countries, the stigma of or the thoughts of being stuck in the bush, so to speak, with these
Mm.
wild savages. Even though they are us, we still have those um, iconic images from Hollywood in our mind of our own people. So, I mean, of course, you have to use common sense and be smart about anywhere that you travel. But it's important if we're going to. Um, I think they're putting ones in the chat room. Maybe someone wants to come in.
No, the reason why I did that, I just wrote in the chat room. I wanted to make sure that everybody could hear
Oh,
us
they could
clearly.
hear. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was looking at another
Yeah,
screen.
that's my concern. Whenever we do these streams, my
Yeah.
biggest anxiety about it is that people can actually hear it, that the
Hmm.
sound's not all scratchy, because I've had that experience before, and it's really irritating when you put in the work into this kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
so that's great. Everyone's hearing you, everything's working smooth. So keep stating
Yeah.
what you're talking about, sister.
So so yeah, I was saying that the two things I've noticed is fear and finance. And so, like I was saying, you could have the finances, but the fear is still there. And so we have to start small. I think that's a good strategy to get over the fear of traveling outside the country. Um, if it's better for people to have travel groups within their states or within their regions, maybe that would be better, just to start off. And people that travel quite often, it's not as serious to them. But we have to take into account that everyone's not used to traveling, and everyone's not used to dropping $400, $500 on a ticket, on a flight either. Even if they have it, they're like, I have so many other things I could be doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are alternatives to traveling, not just on a plane. You have the megabus, which is a very inexpensive way to travel, low cost bus tickets from $1 and up.
Yes.
And I know people have talked about that a lot, especially from here. I just put the link in the room. So if you're traveling from like LA to Las Vegas, you might spend like $4 per person to travel, a one way. So $8 per person to travel on a bus from LA
Mm.
to Vegas. That's just as an example. That was the last time I looked. It was very cheap. I mean, you ain't gonna spend $400 to get anywhere on the megabus. Somebody was saying they have megabus tours that you could take, um, and then all you have to do is make sure you have a hotel. So if you do a megabus tour, like a East Coast tour or a West Coast tour, it could be like 4 days or 5 days, and I think it's good for families because summer is coming up. Their children are at home. People are more likely to take vacation. And I mean, they have like all the questions you need that you probably have. They're here. And you can always look at the reviews for Megabus as well. So I put that in the room. You can just see what the cost is for you, how many travelers. That's going to make a difference on the
Yes.
cost, making sure that you are um, remembering, like, if you're going to bring seniors along, how is that going to work? So all these are, questions that people have. It's based on your group that you want to take, like determining what the goals are. If you wanted to start a group, okay, you have that information for that link you were saying earlier. If you want to partner with a group that's already existing, that may be better because the groups have, their businesses, so they have
Mhm.
Better Business Bureau review. They've
Let
been
me
reviewed.
while you talk, sister. I'm gonna
Hmm.
pull up the one article that I brought up to your attention where it has these
Right.
different travel groups of Black people that have already formed groups. So keep stating what you're saying, sister, while I just pull this up real quick. I'm gonna slide it up and down, slide it so everybody can kind of see a little bit
Right.
of what you're talking about. So go ahead and keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing.
The what was I saying? So the different things that we were discussing, I got to, let's see, three. Yeah, Sonia's saying that our kids need more field trips. Yeah, the field trips are being cut down. How you doing, Underrated Darkness? Um, the field trips are being cut down. I noticed with my mom was telling me that, with the kids back home, and I was like, well, if it's happening there, it's probably happening in other places. And even if they didn't cut down on the field trips, summer is pretty much here. And if you can't afford to go this summer, there's always, next summer, there's always spring break.
Mm-hmm.
And you always have the opportunity to form a bigger group. Of course, the bigger the group, the higher the discount. Usually when you're booking flights, when you're booking for these trips, you're booking hotels, the hotels always say, you get the group rate depending on how many people are going to be lodging there. So yeah, it's a good thing to travel. I would suggest everyone read the book, the Green Book, and there's another book called Sundown Towns. I think that's extremely important to know if you don't already, because that was written to inform people of where to go, and it also indicates the fear that Black people had once before, and it shows you that really nothing has changed as far as our fear of traveling, and it gives you an idea of how easy it is to terrorize people and to keep that system going and keeping people in a state of terror where they feel like they can't even leave the state that they live in. So now there's no excuse for Black people not to travel. Even though you may have the fear, there is no excuse. There's too much technology and there's too much information that has been presented and created by us that's out there. So we'll put more links in the chat room, of course.
Yeah. Now
But
let
that's
me
important to know.
as I'm go ahead and put those links in there, sister. What I'm doing,
Hmm.
folks, right now is I'm showing you a page. It's called 7 Black-Owned Travel Groups that you and your squad should join. So they're talking about you can get your family together. You can get your friends, your old college friends, whoever, and you can form these groups. And let me just slide this down, let you see this. Now, I spoke about this one before. This is the No Madness Travel Tribe. That was the one that I
Hmm.
talked about. A lot of these, check this out. I'm going to remind everybody again, a lot of these travel groups, these Black travel groups, a lot of them started out on social media, just like what we're doing right now, folks. They started out
Right.
on YouTube. They started out, well, in this case, it was Instagram. And it was from Instagram where they got the inspiration to create these travel groups. And so let me slide down. You got these sisters on the camels. And this sister right here. So you got the Travel Noah, and I talked to you all about that. This is one of the first travel groups that were, these are all groups that were founded by Black people. Okay. Now, some of these do cater to Black women, but there's some that cater to Black families overall. And I will be getting to Black men. Then I talked about this one, and this is a beautiful picture. These sisters are looking good on here. The Taste Makers Africa.
Right.
This is looking good on here. They're out there in the water, the nature. I might make a thumbnail out of that and put that on the show tonight. Put that on the show later on. Or I could choose this one right here, which I think is pretty cool with these folks here. Might make a thumbnail out of that. But let me slide down some more. And I'm gonna probably read a little bit too. I've got my phone with I got my stuff all set up, ready to go. And then you got this group right here, the Black Adventurers. Okay. and they're there on the little what do you call those, sister? Those little those little RV. I don't know what they call those things when they zoom through the sand.
Oh, um, yeah, it's the ATV, all-terrain
ATV,
vehicle.
yeah. I've never done that before, and
Those
that's
are fun. You have to do those, especially in the woods, or well, on the beach is safer, but
yeah.
the
And
woods
then
is
let me slide down here, folks. Here is the one that I've been hearing that's pretty popular too. Is Black Girls Travel Too. And the sisters are looking great. That would be a great thumbnail as well. They're chilling, they're relaxing in the beach. And then this one right here is Passports Posse. They're just these sisters are chilling. And okay, to the brothers out there that are listening, you're kind of wondering, well, where is the black man stuff? I'm gonna be honest with you. From what I've been able to research, it seems that black women are taking advantage of traveling abroad more than black men in America. Okay, black women are getting out of their discomfort zone, out of their comfort zone, or I mean comfort zone, and they're going out there and they're going out there. Okay, but I am going to pull up a website that caters to black men, and this one is a nice picture here for you got the brother out there looking swole and muscular. It's called the
Oh yeah.
Urban Event Global. They're out in the water chilling and stuff. I think it's beautiful to see black people traveling abroad, showing what makes us beautiful. Because in America, we are taught that we're thugs, that we're nothing, that we're all criminals, that we can't work together and get along. And I think that when you see these sort of images with black people doing this sort of stuff, it breaks through the barriers of that we are just people that are animalistic, and we're not. As you saw this week, or as you were noticing on social media, black folks in Oakland, California, black men were trying to barbecue. And when we're just trying to mind our own business, the enemy, as a true royal queen would say, is effing with us constantly. They're effing with us. And so we have to transform ourselves and say, we are going to break past the barriers of these stereotypes that seem to be always a finger's pointed at us for these kind of stereotypes. But black people, I think, and I'm going to say this, and I think Sister Nicole would agree with me. We need to travel because travel, in my opinion, is therapy. Sometimes we need to get away from this matrix we call America. Sister Nicole, I didn't mean to cut you off, anything like that. If there's anything you want to say further, or
You are
anything you want
doing
to add to
fine
what I
because
was saying, sister, go right ahead.
everything you're saying, as I'm putting it in here, I know they're probably dizzy from all the links. But every time you say something, the link you're going through now, I just put in there earlier because
Okay.
I
Let
wanted them to be
me,
able to go and see. But when you name something, I'm just popping the link in there
okay.
because I was looking
Fantastic.
at some of the similar websites. I think that's really interesting that you were you were talking about the same websites I was looking at
Mhm.
about a
That
week
means
ago
we're on the
and
same
today,
page. Let me
right, on the
read,
same page.
before I go into some other links, let me read a little bit of something. It says here, if you haven't already noticed, black women are currently slaying the travel scene. Okay. In fact, we are traveling now more than ever before. African Americans intend to travel, reportedly, an increase by 19% just from 2015 to 2016. According to the Mandela research firm, 17% of us take one or more international trips a year, and we spend about 48
Mm-hmm.
billion on travel in the United States alone. So the fact of the
Mm-hmm.
matter is, and I think Yvette Carlette would probably disagree and say, well, even if black people have education, and yeah, it appears that we have the spending wealth, it doesn't translate to the overall wealth that we have. But the fact of the matter
Mm-hmm.
is, with whatever wealth we do have, somehow black people, particularly black women, are finding a way to take their butts on these trips. And we're spending a tune, according to this article, up to $48 billion. So black people, we are, I mean, unfortunately, we are consumers. Okay. We consume more than what we own statistically in this country, but we do enjoy to consume our leisure.
Mm-hmm.
As I get on
I
it,
would say that it's important to put those links in there.
go ahead, sister. No, I was going to say, as I get ready to go into another article very soon, I want you to touch on what some of the statements that I just made.
Oh yeah, okay.
Or if you have anything else you want to bring up.
No, I was just saying that's why it's important for us to put these links in there, because I didn't think to look up, I was like, well, I'll just go with a regular travel agency. And I found these websites when I was looking at a video. Um, it was about, you'll never guess what it was. It was about tying scarves, because I had braids. I had braids at the time, and I was like, I need a way to tie this scarf around, and I was looking at a video, and then it said recommended for you right under it, and it was Travel Noir. And I was like, oh, what's this about? And so I clicked on it and I started looking. I was like, wow, this is interesting. And so then I was like, wait a minute. And you know how it goes on YouTube. You watch one video and then there's another one under there, and there's 10 of them under there. So I just kept watching, and before you knew it, I was like, you know what? This is a good idea, and these are all Black owned, businesses that they've created. Like you said, with Instagram, they started with social media, communicating with one another, able and willing to take a chance and make an investment. And I'm not just talking about traveling just to, have fun. Of course, you're going to have fun and enjoy yourself. But also at some point, there are people who travel to certain destinations repeatedly, to start businesses, to network with other people, to bring their resources with them. Your resources may not necessarily be money. Eventually, you need to bring money, especially to the continent. But initially, your resources may be your skills, maybe volunteering, maybe in some kind of other aspect that you hadn't thought of before, giving your time and your energy. So that's also important. While you're there, learning about the politics, learning about the landscape, learning about the resources that are available. We can't tell from here what's really going on over there on the ground. And their image of us is all what they see on mainstream television.
Mm-hmm.
We see each other through their eyes on television. They show both of us, you know, our brothers and sisters on the mainland, I call it the mainland, on the mainland, the motherland, Africa, Akebulon, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
They see us and we see them the way the colonizers want us to see them, and they see us.
Yeah.
So we have to break down that barrier, at the same time be prepared to shed some tears. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be completely, happy the whole time. And it shouldn't be completely happy the whole time. We were separated from them forcefully. And in order to build relationships and build trust, we have to go through a birthing process again. There's going to be pain. At the end of it, there should be some joy. There should be some progress, right? So my thing is, I'm really about us traveling and getting out of our comfort zone. But of course, we should start small, and we should start, because you never know who you meet, even here in the state of California, like, or any
Oh, for
state you're
sure.
in. You never know who, like you said, you've met people as well, from Africa as well. So have I. Like, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what kind of influence they have back home. You never know, like, what type of experiences they've had. And, it's important for us to share our stories, and to also help those of us here, because at some point, I don't care what nobody says, and I'm sure Kat will agree with me. Everyone's gonna need a passport, and people can take that and interpret it how they feel. But yeah, you're gonna need a passport. You're gonna need a visa. So instead of rushing at the last minute, it's better to be, to have it and not need it, than to need it and wish you had it and be asked out, as my grandma say. Okay,
Exactly.
so be
Exactly.
straight up on a cold day, right? So you don't want that to happen, and you want to make sure what the cost is for passports. So I put the links in there, about the costs and the fees. There are so many tabs on their websites. This is from the State Department. I'm
Yes.
putting another one in there now with passport requirements and fees. So you have to look at the fees. Don't just look at the fees for 16 and up. Look at the fees for the children. Look at the fees for renewal, because sometimes we get lazy and we don't renew our passports. So you got to look at the renewal. Look at the fees for the senior citizens as well. And just being prepared to put in work. So, I mean, I would hope that at some point we get to. There's a few other points that you talked about earlier today. As you were talking earlier today during our conversation on the phone, I was writing everything down. So I've gotten to point one. I mentioned point two, and then point three. Point one was the passports. Point two was therapy. Point three was, what does it really mean to travel as a Black person? I think we kind of touched on that. But as far as the therapy part, I didn't want to talk too much. I'll let you go if you have
Um,
something. Well, not let you, but I
what I
don't want
wanted
to
to
take up too
say
much time.
next, um, I don't think, I don't want to be naive here. I don't want to talk down to people, but I don't know how many Black people in general understand how important it is to have a passport, and just
Mhm.
maybe how simple it is to get one. However, to get one, you definitely can't have a felony on your record. So you can't have a criminal
Mhm.
background. That's going to knock you out because they don't want you traveling abroad if you've got felonies and all this sort of stuff. But when I went through the process, I basically had to get my birth certificate. Now, I didn't have my original birth certificate, so I had to go online through a website where they were able to get my birth certificate way back in Baltimore, Maryland, where I was born. I
Mhm.
had to wait for that birth certificate to be sent to me. I had to have, of course, proper ID, because we are under a prison system. So you got to have your
Right.
IDs, folks, and you got to have everything in order, your paperwork, like we back in apartheid or some mess.
Right.
So I had all my paperwork, filled out the form. The only thing that was sort of stressful about getting a passport was just having to wait and wait, because you had people coming in line. Then they took my photo, they took my fingerprint, they put me through the little process. And then I had to wait about maybe a month and a half to receive the passport. And
Mm.
and I wish I had my passport in hand to show everybody right on live, but I will do this at a later time. But I have the passport. I can travel abroad. And my thing is that I've got to utilize it now. I've got to do it. I'm 48 years old. I'm at a stage in my life where I need to see more of the world around me, because we live in a Western society, American society, where everything we know about the world, if you've only lived here most of your life, only thing you know about the world is from a Western Eurocentric perspective. Okay.
Mhm.
Our news, as you can see every day when you turn it on, they're talking about Donald Trump, as I call him, every day. You're getting nothing of any substance in the news in this country. It is completely corporatized news, and they talk about Donald Trump every day. We are under a leadership of a dictator right now. But to be quite honest with you, all the presidents that we've ever had in this country, as far as I'm concerned, are all dictators. Okay.
Mhm.
And so, Black people, we need to start exploring. I know a lot of us like to run to Europe. And I read an article, Nicole, where it talked about how about breaking away from just going to the typical Europe
Right.
and maybe trying Ghana, Kenya, maybe Cape Town, South Africa,
Mhm.
um, trying countries like Nigeria or Zimbabwe. Try to see what else is out there besides the usual European places, because I think it's very important, especially for kids. And we're going to talk about kids traveling with the family. I think it's most important that you, your children, your family go to a place where you see people who look just like you. Okay. To
Mhm.
me, it makes no sense in my mind to live in America where you see basically people who don't look like you, and then go travel and pay and spend a lot of money to go to a place with people who still don't look like you. And in some cases, some people do. We know that the Moors, when you look at the history of the Moors, how they controlled parts of Europe, they controlled Ireland, they controlled parts of Italy, which is why the Sicilians, from what I understand, there's some Italians that are very dark. And that was because of the African blood, the mixing of the genetics, as my man Keith Newsom would say, during the occupation of because Europe was in a dark ages. And when you were in high school, they always would tell you, hey, Europe is in a dark ages, but they never tell you, well, how did they get in the dark ages, right? And it was the Moors, the Moors from North Africa who brought them enlightenment. They were the masters of navigation. They taught the Europeans navigation. They taught the Europeans libraries. They taught them how to build libraries. They taught them knowledge. They taught them how to create microscopes, how to create telescopes, right? When you look at the history of Balboa, who they claimed discovered the planets, no, Balboa got that technology left to him by the Moors. If you go to parts of Europe, you will see buildings that have these shapes that were left there by the Moors, okay? And it was the Christian Crusades in which they forced the Moors out. That's what the Christian Crusades were all about, partially. Okay. So keep in mind that Black people, our whole history is not about slavery, but it's about something much greater than that. Slavery was a part of it, unfortunately, because Black folks went into a period of being asleep, and we're now trying to get out of sleep into being woke. And look at travel, folks, as a way to continue to open up your mind and awaken yourself and see that the world around you is a hell of a lot bigger than just America. And the news that we even get in this country is so filtered and washed out to nothing. And so this is why it's important to travel, to see how other people live, to see that which you hear about in the news, and you may get a different perspective, a different ideology in the way you see yourself and how you relate to the world that you're in. Nicole, you have any other words, sister? I'm gonna pull up the article about Black men just to give brothers in the chat room a little love, because Black men, we do matter as it relates to this travel situation. Let me pull this article up real quick. Let me share it with everybody, make sure everybody can see it and present it to everyone. Okay. And can everybody in the chat room see that article? If you can, press 1. I want to just make sure everything's okay. Everything's working fine because I can see it off of my screen. So right here, you can see, let me break this down to you. It has Black men, we need to leave America. Damn right about that. To see the other race of the world. Now, in this article, it says this is not a piece about how foreign women will be, delicious and delightful for Black men. Because, a lot of times when we associate Black men with traveling abroad, let's be honest, folks, especially as it relates to Brazil, and I'm going to talk about Brazil a little bit too tonight. We tend to get into the usual stereotype that we're going there for a sex vacation. And in some cases, that's true, because I've seen on YouTube travel groups. I think one in particular called Black Men Leaving the Matrix. And you have Black men who feel like, hey, the dating scene in America as it relates to dating Black women is sort of dead. And so their whole attitude is that, you know what, why not date Black women that live abroad? Because the dating system in America is all screwed up. Okay. So these are, you've heard the term frustrated Black men who go their own way and they go to Brazil. And so the stereotype is that it's a sex vacation. Okay. And these things do go on, but Black men, this article here talks about how this is about preservation of self. And this article goes on about how you should not be afraid to even travel by yourself if necessary. And that's been one of the things, Nicole, for me as a Black man, that holds me back a lot, because I really don't want to travel by myself. I mean, a lot of times they recommend that you don't travel by yourself and have a companion or someone with you, right? Right. But I've had many friends tell me, man, just go, get a plane ticket and go somewhere, even if it's in the state. Just go somewhere you've never been. be adventurous, because sometimes when you go places alone, you may learn something new about yourself. And so I've been wanting to do that. I've been thinking about, or wanting to go, and we'll plan in planning to go to somewhere like a Ghana. You've heard me say that before. I definitely want to go to Brazil. And but everyone tends, when you say Brazil, they always tend to say, "Oh, you want to go to Rio de Janeiro?" No, my goal is to go there for about a month and travel up and down um, Brazil. I've made some inroads into Brazil because I have friends that live there. I have a friend in the area where I live at that is from Brazil that has kind of taught me some of the things you need to be prepared for. But when I look at Brazil, the area that I think Black folks should consider traveling, and Black men you should consider traveling to, is El Salvador, Brazil. Okay. Now I'm gonna, not to get too far off course here. Um, this is from Black. I'm just say this. See, I'm going to get back to that. Black men, we need to travel, leave America. Now, let me, and I'm going to tell you more about Brazil in just a minute, but this is very important that I inform the brothers out there that are listening in the chat room or will listen to this. There is a website for Black men. And let me just pull this up. Just give me just a minute, and bam. I'm looking at this myself. It's the same thing as this, but there's two articles. It's called Black in a Board. Black men, we need to leave America. So if you go to a website called Black in a Board, if you Google right now, Black in a Board, you're going to see this article pull up where the brother that you're looking at right now, make sure you can see this. You're going to see this brother right here looking out. Let me bring it down so you can see this brother right here is kicking it in the pool, and he's got the Black Power sign in his, on, and it says right here, Black in a Board. So this is a sort of like a pro-Black type of travel agency for Black men. Here's some reason why you're in a need of a solo trip abroad, because it will build your confidence. Okay. Few things test your confidence like being in a place where you barely speak the language and have limited access to internet and no one to rely upon but yourself. Traveling alone forces you to tap into these abilities and the actual use of skills you rarely get to fix when you're at home, such as being in a social being and taking to strangers. Accept the challenge of critical thinking. Critical thinking is very important, folks. That was one of the most important classes I ever took in college. Okay, no. So we've got critical thinking and problem solving to get where you want to go. I'm moving it down a little bit more. More importantly, it gives you the chance to be carefree. Black man, do things you would not think of doing with your crew around you. So what it's basically doing, folks, is saying that when you're kind of around your friends and family, you're going to be seclusive to what your friends and family think, expect of you to do. But if you take on a challenge of traveling or doing something by yourself, it sort of gets you back in tune with yourself, with your spirit, your higher vibrating spirit of yourself. And you may learn some things by yourself. Now, I live by myself. I've been living by myself for some years now. I've been divorced for 10 years. And I've learned a lot about myself coming out of my marriage and living alone again, because it forced me to do what? Be independent, rely on myself, take care of myself, not be too often. We have too many black men sometimes who sort of have this "oh mama put the food on the table" attitude, like they're so used to someone catering to them. And I think for the most part, Nicole, I don't know if you would agree with me or not, for the most part, I think Black women in particular, you want a man who's strong in his convictions and belief, but you want a man that can stand on his own 2 feet and not be a mama's boy, you know?
Right. That's
And,
true. I mean, I was just putting in the chat room, like I've never thought about traveling alone, but it
mhm,
is a very interesting idea. I'm scared to travel by myself.
mhm,
Um, to a certain distance, I would say here, because California is huge. Here, I could do it. I could travel alone, maybe up to 200 miles or so, which is not as far as you would think. Um, but outside of this region on my own, like I'm talking about like driving, for instance.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, it's it's something that I would have to plan out. I'm a planner, as y'all know.
I
I'm
think what
always
you
writing
should,
notes.
what I would do to start off, folks, um, if you were going to travel alone, I would test it out in the States because at least you kind of have
Right.
a little bit more sense of America to a certain
Mm-hmm.
degree. I had a fraternity brother tell me once, he said, man, just get on the plane and go to New Orleans. You always wanted to go to, the Mardi Gras and all of that. Just get on a damn plane, get a hotel, whatever, and just
Go.
go. And see, this is the thing that's unique about my situation, Nicole. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a member of a fraternity that's got thousands of brothers all over the country. I could actually, even though I could travel alone. I actually would not be alone because I could find an alpha brother anywhere in America, and we're also
Right.
international. I could probably go anywhere in the world and I could find someone. So in some
Mm-hmm.
ways, I would travel alone, but maybe not be completely alone because I can tap into a resource that I have. But um, I would recommend, for me personally, and for anybody, don't tap into the resource. Go experience something just by yourself sometimes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and try to meditate on that and figure out if you are going to go alone, maybe find out a little bit about the country. Maybe see if you can network with someone who lives there. I know, for example,
Yeah,
I'm
they
going
have
to bring
that.
it back to Brazil. Brazil has a culture, from what I understand, in which they like when people come there, they like for you to sort of develop a relationship or get to know people before you get there a little bit. Okay. Now, I brought up
Mm-hmm.
El Salvador, Brazil. I'm bringing it full circle, folks. So bear with me. El
Mm-hmm.
Salvador, Brazil is very special because the Portuguese, who were one of the first to put it to bring African people into the triangular slave trade, which the triangular slave trade is the actual few that built this world. Okay, when you look at New York, you look at Boston, any of the New York, the New York original name was New Netherlands at one time. Okay, the all the cities in America that run along the ports were created through the slave trade. That's because the ports started to be built as they were having more demand and more demand to bring slaves over. So you had to have someone build the ships. It created a damn industry. You had to have someone who built the ships. You had to have someone to make the clothes. You had to have someone to build the docks. Okay. And so you've got American company. A lot of these American companies today, your PJ Morgans, these very wealthy banking systems, they made their money off of the slave system. They got
Mm-hmm.
rich off of the backs of our ancestors, folks. So we must keep that in mind. It's very, very, very important aspect of this. And so
Mm-hmm.
out of that, they had to have people make the clothes for slaves. They had to have people make, products, whatever, for slaves. And so a lot of our people did not get dropped off in just America. The majority of us were dropped off in what we call South America, and particularly through the gateway of El Salvador, Brazil. If you were to go to El Salvador, Brazil, they have one of the largest black populations within Brazil, outside of Rio. They have the old cobblestone there. They have all the old buildings that are still freaking there when we were dropped off there as slaves. The people there are very, 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 very melanated. Okay. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they are very much aware of their blackness. Now, they do, guess what they have there that they have a problem with, that we have the same problem with in America? They have a problem with the police harassing them. Doesn't it
Mm-hmm.
sound familiar? So
Mm-hmm.
they're being harassed by police in El Salvador, Brazil, and they have protests. They stand up for what's right. And so that's a place that is historic because it brought in a lot of us into South America. A majority of our people are in South America, not America. Get over yourself, black people in America. We are not the be all, the end all of blackness, but we're not the end of blackness. We're Okay. But it's just that we have to keep in mind that with all the privilege that we have, with all the negative that we have, but the privilege that we have to a certain degree, we must be humble and realize that there are other people who have created legacies of Blackness outside of the hell of North America that we set in. So just keep that in mind, and do your study up on Salvador, Brazil. Please go online, Google it, learn a little bit about it.
I just put a link in there.
It's fantastic. I think when I go out there in any one of these countries, I want to figure out a way to be with the people. I don't want to do the tourist stuff. I want to be and ingratiate myself into what the people are doing, eat the food that they eat, dance the dance that they dance, everything, wear the clothes, every damn thing. I'm going to ingratiate myself. Now, you got this brother here with the cool dreadlocks. He's looking at the plane. He's chilling. Okay. Now, let me read this. 2, because you need to stop waiting on someone to validate your decision to travel. Now, don't validate. Now, you notice you're going to have haters. When you want to travel, you're going to have family or friends that's going to say, oh, why you want to go there? You shouldn't go there. Okay. When I did the video about why African Americans are moving to Africa, as much as I had positive feedback, I had haters sending me messages talking about Africa, this negative, that, negative, that. And I'm going to say again, if Africa was such a negative place, why the hell do you have Europeans in Africa? Okay. I just did a video that I haven't dropped yet, using some of the footage that's already out there on YouTube related to Namibia. And you got Germans oppressing Namibian people in that part of Africa. And you got the people over there saying that something's going to give, that they're going to invade, that Black people are going to invade the white people and take that which is theirs, which is their land back, because they're treated very poorly. Okay. So that goes on, but white people still go over there. Chinese go over there. So why do we not take our Black behinds over there and say, let me take some of this American dollar and buy up some land, help contribute to the infrastructure? We should be doing things like that. Okay. Instead of, and don't discourage people who want to go. So Nicole, sister, I'm coming back to you. Do you have anything else you want to add? Any articles that you want me to pull up that we kind of talked about before right now?
Oops, sorry. I put one in there. It was for, I'm echoing. What is going on?
But while you figure that one out, I just want to remind the Black men that are listening to this, please go to Black and Abroad. This is specifically tailored to Black men and our travel. Okay.
Yeah, I remember
let me read this little statement right here
about this website.
Okay.
It was about saving money while traveling abroad.
Okay.
Saving money at restaurants while traveling abroad. And I think it's still public on my channel. But yeah, that is a good website. I agree.
Yeah, so definitely
there's a lot of good information in there.
And as I'm strolling down, you're going to see this brother. He has a head-on called Black and Abroad. So this is a movement that's going on, folks. So
a lot of the websites have merchandise you can purchase.
And I'm personally going to check this out myself because this is really dynamic kind of stuff. So just to let the brothers out there know that there are sites for us to explore as Black men, and then there's the sites for the family. So let me read.
Segued into that.
Let me read this real quick. This is still this is some of the information I have. Let me read this to you, folks. This is a little quote. And they say by 21, I was supposed to die, so I'm out here celebrating my post. That's a Jay-Z quote. You know, when I was growing up, they did make a big deal that if you turned 21 as a Black man, that was something super special. Not only because you turned 21, but that because you were alive. Okay, because we know during the early 90s, late 80s, you had a lot of stuff going on where you had drive-by shootings, people being killed, Black men being shot. You know, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. So the question was, would a Black male survive? And I'm here to tell you that we can survive. It's just about the choices that you make. Your choices will lead you in the graveyard. Your choices can lead you to greatness. Your choices can lead you in a poor state by your choices. You have to make proper choices. And even when you travel, you must make proper choices in where you travel by doing your research. Sister Nicole, while I pull up another page, you have anything else you want to add or bring up? Now, are we on the family now, or do you want me to pull up something? Let me see. What do I have here? I have, let me just pull this up real quick. Well, I had that up. I did the abroad. Let me see. For us, let me see. No, I got that up. This one is an Ebony article about 14 top travel spots for Black people. Let me just read this off real quick.
Okay.
And did you drop this in the chat room as well, Sister Nicole?
No, but I will.
Okay, so it's called this. It's by Ebony. It's 14 top travel spots for 2015. Now, I know it's a couple of years from now, but these places are still relevant. And this was in Ebony, and this is on their website here. Let me read
February
this.
25th.
You got Morocco. They rank Morocco as a top place for Black people to travel. You've got Toronto, Canada. And you know, Toronto is a very urban place in Canada. You have a lot of Black folks in Canada that live in Toronto, which is actually next to Detroit. And I think B Fabulous would know a little bit about that. B Fabulous, I can see you in the chat room, sister. Have you ever gone over to Detroit? I mean, not Detroit. You're in Detroit. I mean, Toronto. Have you made any move to Toronto? And hey, what's up, Underrated Darkness? I'm going to give people a chance to come in the chat room at some point to do a Q&A. But let me move on and scroll down. And here you go. You got Cape Town, South Africa. Okay. And right now in South Africa, the Black folks in South Africa are saying, we want our damn land. Okay. The white farmers' time is up. They're trying to steal. They stole the land, and the Black folks say, time's up. Give us back that which you have stolen. Okay, we've got Dominican Republic. Let me see. Dubai. Dubai is a popular place. Bangkok, Thailand is a good place for Black folks to go. According to this article, Mexico City. I went on a cruise to Mexico. A whole week, a 10-day cruise on Princess Cruises. I loved it, Nicole. It was fantastic. I had a great time in Mexico. I did the horseback riding. I did,
wow.
let me see, you get the snorkeling. I had a great time. And guess what? I saw some Black Mexicans over there. Black people are indigenous to Africa. We're indigenous to this whole damn planet.
Everywhere.
We're indigenous to Mexico because you had Black slaves that were brought over to Mexico. Did you know that 2 of the generals that are responsible for Mexico's independence are Black?
Oh, wow.
They're in their museum. A lot of people don't know this.
I did not know that.
And some of the Africans, when they were released out of slavery, they created their own little town or city in Mexico, and they have statues of these Black people. So Mexico, and then when I was over there, I saw what you would call Black Mexicans. You could tell they were Black. That African blood was popping out, powerful. And I believe just 2 years ago, they have acknowledged a category. Now, they always want to put people in boxes, but they created a category where they identify Black Mexicans in Mexico, and there's a place where they live. Okay. So Black folks, we're all over the diaspora of the world. Now, if you go to Cancun, that's where you got the Aztec pyramids. Okay. We built that stuff. Okay. You've got the stoneheads that they were in the ground that Ivan Van Sertima talks about. Make sure you get the book, Ivan Van Sertima. They came before Columbus, 800 BC. The question I'm telling you folks is that travel is inherently in our blood because our ancestors were traveling this whole damn planet. Okay. They were coming over here, trading gold and silver with native people here. There's pyramids in Egypt, or a pyramid in Egypt that they believe was designed by the same individual, that a pyramid that appeared in South America. Okay. Huge pyramids. There was an exchange of culture. You've got mounds that they found over here, pyramid mounds over here that are over there. Every
Mm-hmm.
time they dig up, dig and dig, they find black bones in Europe. Before Europeans were there, they find them in Israel. They find black bones here in America. They have the Cheddar Man. Damn it, if they go to, I keep saying this, damn it, if they go to Mars and start digging, they may find black bones on Mars because we're traveling. And we got to get into that mindset that travel is the way to go. Now, let me stroll down some more. They got Savannah, Georgia. I'm not a big fan of the South. I'm going to be honest with y'all, folks. I really don't have any desire to go travel to the deep South as a vacation. That's just me. I'm not a big
Well, you
fan of
can't knock it
Confederate
until you
flags and stuff.
try it.
What'd you say, sister? I'm sorry.
I said you can't knock it until you try it.
Yeah, I mean, you're from the South right now. Where? Remind everybody where
Yeah,
originally you're from.
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Now, let me keep it real with you. My family, which migrated from North Carolina up to Baltimore, so I really have roots in North Carolina, technically, in
Yeah,
terms
you
of my
said I
family.
think your uncle was Geechee.
Yeah,
I think you're
yeah,
saying like uncle. Yeah, my
yeah,
my grandmother, my mother Geechee. So
yeah. And
my
they say
mother
that
North
most black
Charleston.
people who come from places like North Carolina and South Carolina, we can trace our ancestry back to the motherland that much easier because you remember some of the first slave ships were dropped off in two places, one in Virginia, two in North Carolina. That's where two of the first
Hmm.
slave ships were dropped off in this country. Those were the ports originally when they did come to this part of the world.
Right. The ports are still there. The
They're
slave
still there. Yeah.
auction house is still there. It's just called like a city hall type building, but
Mm,
it's right there at the Battery in Charleston, not far from Fort Sumter, which is out in the water. I believe
yes.
that's John's Island, or not John's Island, um, Ashley River, I think.
Ashby River.
Ashley River, James, John. There's all these different white people names out there.
Okay.
Um, and then you have the Ravenel Bridge. Pretty much everything in that area of Charleston is named after, literally named after a slave master's last name.
Mm-hmm.
Sullivan. You have the what is it? The Rutherfords, the Williams. These were all slave masters' names.
Mm-hmm.
Ravenel, definitely. Calhoun, um, Washington, Jefferson. All of these names. These were slave owners, and just because they were president doesn't mean they didn't have property or relatives that lived in Charleston or that lived in near Hilton Head.
Yes.
You have a lot of a lot of the barrier islands. I think are nice to visit because we are still there, and a lot of the Geechees are still in Gullah. They're called the Gullah Nation. They're still trying to fight to keep their land, um, and because there's a lot of course, the history of the land, but a lot of the people there have maintained the voodoo traditions,
Yes.
and they have been demonized, but you don't mess with the dead, and you don't mess with the like pulling up the bones when they do excavations, when they're going to claim land, aka steal it, and build something there like a resort. They've had issues over the years because um, they've had they've tried to build on property that was not sound, and it it just these homes or these properties they tried to build, they just erode right into the lakes and rivers. So I don't know if that's just bad planning, or just being greedy, or if the spirits has something to do with that, because how is the land fine, and then a couple years later the houses that you built just falling up into the river, and the lakes and stuff. So yeah, I mean, and the thing about going to the southeastern region of the US is the cost. A lot of times it's cost efficient, um, especially when traveling in groups. And
Yes.
in the summertime, it's cost efficient. So when I talk about cost, I'm not just talking about your lodging and your flight, or your bus, or however you want to transport yourself. I'm
Yes.
talking about how much you need to pack, how much you're going to have to carry, anything that can reduce your stress. is going to be worthwhile, make your trip more worthwhile. With the less you pack, the less you have to worry about when you get wherever you're going, right?
Exactly.
Especially with children, with the family. Maybe you have seniors that you're traveling with. So all of that comes into mind. But yeah, it's becoming, I would say, for South Carolina, there's so many historical places there. You also have, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana. I wanted to mention, you said Ebony, the Ebony article. I mean, you have the Essence Festival in New
Oh,
Orleans every year
let me
as well.
pull that back up. The Ebony
Yeah, I put
article.
that link in the chat room.
Let me see if I can. Oops. I was
Oh, you were going through the list.
yeah, I'm gonna pull
Okay.
that back up, but I'm making sure this
I have
thing.
it open here.
Okay, let me. This is the Ebony one. So let me put this
Hmm.
back up real quick, um, just so everyone can see the rest of the. Thank you for putting those links in there. I really appreciate it, sister. Let me go through this again real quick. I'm just going to go through it. So we got Mexico, we got Savannah, Georgia, okay,
Hmm.
Tokyo, Japan, Oakland, California. Let me read this. It says here, this West Coast city is truly a California gem, most notably known for its diversity, up and coming culinary scene, friendly hometown culture. Oakland is blessed with the appropriate primary to the major city, but also the suburban culture in the town for weekend. Grab some friends and head to First Fridays. Yeah, they always have a First Fridays in Oakland. I used to go to those back when I was in college and living there. First Fridays. Oh my God. Those are fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that right now. Okay, now check this out. It says First Fridays lively street festivals hosted the First Fridays every month. Enjoy a show at Yushi's Jazz Club. Okay, we're familiar with Yushi's. Take a romantic ride on the lake. Yep. As new restaurants are popping up each month, you'll also want to check out the foodie culture. Visit restaurants. This is fantastic. So there are a lot of things going on. You got the Claremont Hotel, very nice establishment.
Hmm.
It's a very beautiful city, despite the fact that you had that terrible woman telling black folks that they can't barbecue in a city that they've been born in, raised in, and 9 10 times may die in, telling us
Hmm.
what to do. Hell no, we do what we want to do.
Hmm.
That's the bottom line. So let me roll down. So New Orleans is one of them. Okay, Australia, Turkey. This is kind of interesting. So that's the end of that, sister. There's nothing else more to that article.
Hmm. Yeah, that was a good article.
Yes, let me
I
see.
enjoy reading those types of articles.
Okay. It says here, Black travel is booming with so much excitement. Get out and explore the world. It's no surprise people are more open to exploring different travel options, while there are many people destinations that are frequently favorites. Many travelers want to discover something new with winter in full force. It is time to start thinking. This is fantastic
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So let me take that off the screen. Um, and let me see. Let me take that off. Let me stop that right there. It comes back to us right here. I probably got a few more articles. I still have the one. Sister, you have anything to add about the travel groups?
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
let me pull this up as a nice summary for everybody to see how you can create a travel group. So let me go right into here. Let me see. Here we go. Let me um, put that on here real quick for everyone to be able to see this. Boom, 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 boom. And there we go. And let me make sure I share it with everybody. Present to everyone. Bam. And there we go. Boom. Okay, so this is basically, if you're wondering like, well, how do we start a travel group, right? So this is basically giving you some steps. A travel club is an organization that plans groups tours to various destinations around the world. Here's why you should start your own, and I do mean black folks, your own, and how to get started, okay? So I'm bringing this down here. A successful travel club comes as a result of carefully orchestration plan of attack, sales and marketing. Process is often featured and researched and avoided by just about everybody at one time or another. But it does not have to be difficult nor beyond the budgetary constraints of most group leaders. It does not, however, demand a certain level of knowing how and modest degree of discipline, selling above the demand. Okay, so let me go right here. I'm going to go up. I'm going to bring this up to, let me see, the first step, which is very important. Right here. First, part one, step one, implementing a successful travel club sales campaign. Establish your USP. What does the USP mean, folks? This is your unique selling position. Okay, it addresses the questions: why should I, why want I travel with your? So it's basically, why should I want to travel with your organization? So when you decide to create a travel group, think about what your objectives are. What are you selling people? Why should they go with your travel group? What is the territory that you want to cover? Meaning, what areas do you want to most focus on? Is it just Africa you want to focus on? Is it just Europe, or is it the whole enchilada, as they would say? Okay. How do you present what you have to offer the customer or the people that you travel in group? Now, check this out. What types of organizations should create a travel club? Okay, churches, banks, restaurants and bars, associations, charities, or nonprofits, specifically sports retails, theaters, chambers, hospitals, colleges, and universities. In the case for us as Black people on YouTube, we should create a travel group, I think, so that and this is my opinion, so that one, we can get a therapy of enjoying getting out of America, getting out of our comfort zone. Okay. Two, that we can network and work together and network to improve each other economically, socially, and spiritually. So I say, as YouTubers, we should try to create a retreat in which every year, or whatever year we can best do it in, where we can all come together and go to one place together in spirit, and do it by supporting Black businesses, such as supporting your Black travel agencies, Black travel groups that can help you get started, or create our own travel group and start marketing it to our communities, the importance of Black people exploring the world around them. Nicole, sister, you have anything you want to add around this area that I spoke of?
I'm just working my fingers, putting in the links that you are going through.
Let me read this off again. It's under leisure. It's called Start Your Own Travel Club, Part 1, How to Get Started. So, folks, Nicole's going to drop the links in, but if you were to go on your phone, you can simply put that title in that you see right there. Start Your Own Travel Club, Part 1, How to Get Started. And it'll pull up this article. It gives you all the nuts and bones. 5 reasons why group travel clubs make sense. Organizations are seeking new ways to connect with members, subscribers, customers, right? More people are traveling as they approach their maturity. Okay. Travel in a group environment is an enjoyable way of sharing experiences that build bonds, right? Traveling can satisfy an educational and organizational mission. So, what is your mission? Is it to educate yourself? Is it just to have fun? Or is it both of those things, folks? We got to consider this sort of stuff, okay? What type of organizations create group travel clubs? Now, I read that before. You got churches in particular. You got a lot of Black folks that are members of churches, okay? You can create that through your church, a travel club, okay? Part 1, implement a successful travel club sales campaign. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm repeating a few things, but let me scroll down a little bit further. Go ahead, sister.
With the USP, when they're talking about implementing a successful travel club sales campaign,
Mm-hmm.
You have people that work in different industries that already travel together for work, for conferences, and they may work for, I don't know, pharmaceutical company or maybe a contracting contractor, business, engineering firm. So if they have ways of advertising that business outside the US or outside of the region they're in, that is where they could implement having their unique selling proposition where they'll be advertising in places that they go to. They have to get permission a lot of times to do that. But that could be what that means because, like, if you're coming from a church group, you're not, you're not selling the idea of the church. You could, I mean, you could be out there as a missionary, I guess, if you wanted to. But in some cases, it's you're selling the idea of traveling with this group that may be part of a bigger corporation, for instance, not people who are not working together, but just want a fellowship. And if your group wants to just go to have fun, that's fine too. Um, I think, like I was saying earlier, sometimes it may be easier to associate yourself with someone, with a group that's already established, because a lot of these groups have come from Instagram. They've come from very modest beginnings, and they're businesses now. So they have a better business bureau review. They have a grade, a letter grade that you can read the review from. A lot of times that's how it is. So you could go perhaps and look up some of these businesses that are Black travel businesses and see what type of reviews do they have, what type of reputation do they have with their customers. I wouldn't suggest just jumping in and partnering with a group that you don't know much about, um, and there's no documentation to show that they've been assessed, at a national or even international level. If they're traveling outside the country, there needs to be some type of, at least a national assessment of their success, of their, if they've had complaints filed against them. Like, these are things you need to know. I'm just being realistic about associating yourself with a travel group. I think it's easier, but of course you get what you pay for, right? So
Yes.
if associating yourself, with a travel group that's already existing, it's necessary to get their protocols and get the things that they've done, learn what they've done that's successful, but also understand they had to work to get to that position, to get to that point. And if they've had to, deal with Better Business Bureau or deal with, litigation or anything like that, you need to know that up front, you know, because it's your money, it's your energy, your time, and resources that are going into that. You'd also need to know, in my opinion, if you're going to be traveling like to Cuba, we were talking about Cuba in the chat room, or Jamaica or Haiti. I would love to go to Haiti. If you're going to these types of countries, you need to know what type of resources you can bring with you for the citizens of those countries. Water purification tablets, for instance, water, you know, simply bringing water, anything like that. Are you allowed to bring MREs there? Are you allowed to bring certain supplies to help people there? Are you allowed to organize and communicate as you are affiliated with the, if you are affiliated with a travel group that's already established, will you be able to do certain things under that travel group? What are the rules and regulations of that group? So it may be harder to start your own group, but I
Mhm.
think I like to do like recognizance, and I would prefer, me personally, to um, partner with a group that's already established, that has a good reputation, learn the ins and outs of the business from them, like an apprentice, establish myself with them and their business partners, and then branch off on my own,
You
in a
know,
smaller group.
that's the best way to do it. Learn from those that have already proven tried and true that they know what the hell that they're doing. And
Right.
then you learn from them and implement it step at a way, step at a time. I totally agree with you. I want to say something right now. Brother Max Evans in the chat room said, very important to travel safe. That's another aspect of this. I remember, damn it, and I wish I had the article right here at my desk. I remember reading an article about how you should travel. You know, the bottom line is this is what I've learned, Nicole. When you travel as an American, you know, because they're gonna see you as American, even if you don't see yourself as American. Um, we gotta leave the American attitude at home. We have to leave the narcissism at home. We have to leave that pop the collar. I think I'm special. I feel my attitude is that if I'm going to go to another country, I need to humble myself to the laws of that country, the customs of that country. Let me just say the customs, because I may not agree with the laws, but the customs, right? So
Mhm.
I shouldn't go over there bringing my American arrogance. And you damn sure shouldn't go to other countries, particular countries that may and may not be as developed, walking around with bling bling on, shiny stuff on your hands, walking around with expensive clothing on. You should not do that. You should not do that. I know in Brazil, there's been cases where people have been mugged on the beach
Mhm.
because they're walking around flossing. You don't do that. You do not floss. You simply go in a humble manner. So
Yeah,
we
you
have to
talked
get
about
out of that
humility earlier.
American attitude that we're better than somebody when we go to somebody's country. Just like what happened during the Olympics when you had that
Mhm.
caveman go over to Brazil. And I know how Brazil operates. And he goes, and I knew it was all BS. He goes over to Brazil and he lies and says that he was held up by someone dressed in a cop outfit. Do you know, Nicole, and everybody listening, in a country like Brazil, they know what type of crime they have in Brazil. They know who's running those type of rings, right? And the
Mhm.
white boy lied because he turned around and then come to find out he was mad because he couldn't use the bathroom because they had the bathroom door locked. So he pissed all over it and trashed it like an animal. Then he gets rewarded when he comes back to America. He gets rewarded by being put on Dancing with the Stars. That shows you the type of values we have in this country we call America. Okay, he's rewarded for pissing and acting like an animal in someone else's country. Yet they want to call black people animals.
Right.
That's just what I wanted to say about that.
Right.
But
I mean, you're right. Being humble is very important, especially when you, like we were going to talk about, the family,
mm-hmm.
especially when you're traveling with your family. You don't want to portray yourself like that anyway in front of your children, but especially in another place where children are already, kind of uneasy and uncomfortable because they're not at home, right? And
Yes,
you're trying to give them a different experience on life. So yeah, you're right. You want to make sure you use some common sense. And, remember, it's not a video. Just because you see Rick Ross or whoever out here, whoever's out here, Kanye, whoever it is, out here flossing, what's the girl, Cardi B on a camel, don't mean you could be on a camel with red bottoms on, because you might get jacked just at 9 o'clock in the morning if you try that.
mm-hmm.
So that's a video. That's not that's not real life. And at the same time, that goes into making sure um, you are you have someone there. It goes back to traveling alone too, because you need to know the details. That's why I think it's important to partner with a travel group that already exists, because they know what hotels to go to and which ones to avoid. They know about which hostels. Some hostels are better than hotels in certain countries, and they
Yes,
can tell you which ones have safes, which ones don't have safes, which ones have, better housekeeping than others, which ones have better, ventilation than others, which ones do not have AC. Like, they let you know that. You can't tell a lot of that when you're looking online, you're doing your booking and stuff. You can call, but you have to remember, if you're traveling to another country, the time is different. You have to take all that into account. The time is different. You have people who and it was one lady discussing this, and she said it shouldn't matter what time you call a hotel, but it does matter, because certain times of the day, she was going to UAE, United Arab Emirates. Certain times of the day, they have somebody who doesn't really speak good English on the phone. But
mm-hmm.
according to her time, when she could call, that's the only time she could call. And when she could, The person had really bad English, so she ended up having to call the hotel 4 in the morning her time in
Yes.
order to get someone who spoke somewhat good English. And she said she still really didn't understand what she was saying. They wanted a single suite with the king size bed. When they got there, ended up being a two double size, the full size beds, no balcony, no view, nothing. So she said it was a miscommunication. They eventually got it changed for them because they realized they were American, but they had to wait. So she said it just slowed down their whole trip. And you don't want to have to deal with a lot of that stress on your own. And luckily, she was there with her family. I don't know what I would have done if I was by myself. I'd have been like, okay, I'm ready to go. You
Mm.
done flown 16, 17 hours or something. You like, okay, look, I'm ready to go to bed. And your room is not good, not right. Anything that stresses you out when you're over there, it it can change the way your experience is. So it's best to travel with people who, like you said, who know what they're doing.
Yeah,
I put a link for your video with Mohammed Bay in there.
yeah, and I put another link in there too. Thank you. You're on top of
And
it.
there's
Thank you.
another one here that you just did with
I'm gonna put the link. I did a second video about Black folks going back to Africa, and there was a brother that I learned some things from. And he talked about going to Africa, and he talked about the price of living there, the price of apartments. It was pretty dynamic stuff. I'm gonna put that link in. But in Africa, I think if you want to live there or live there during the course of the year, you can either rent a house there or you can buy a house. The
mhm.
according to the brother that I was listening, I can't think of I had his name and I'm kind of losing it right now. Basically, what he was saying is in a place like Ghana, because that's where he's traveled extensively, they usually like you to pay fully in advance for either renting a house. So you pay up for the whole year, and guess how much you're renting the house for? It's costing you like maybe $208 of American dollars,
Wow.
for example. Right? He broke it down in American currency. So that's why it really isn't any excuse for any black person to say they can't travel to a place like that, because living in America, our American dollar will get us get us pretty decent lifestyle in these kind of developed places in the continent of Africa. Let me um, something you said that was that hit me. Let's go into kids. Let me pull this other site up before we. Um, this is related to kids. Let me see this one. We talked about this before. We are yeah. Let me pull this one up. Put this on the. Let me see.
Traveling with channel with kids, there's different
Yeah,
channels about
traveling
that.
with kids. There we go. I'm gonna present this. Boom. Now, why I present this, Sister Nicole, can you say a few things? Because I'm going to put a link in about the video I was telling you about. Can you say make a few opinions about as it relates to traveling with your family? What are your thoughts about that, especially with young kids?
Yeah, I think it's good. We traveled when I was younger, from South Carolina to Disney World, and it was like 11, 12 hours, something like that. The main thing was making sure that the children were occupied while you're traveling, making sure you have games, well, at that time we didn't have iPads, so we had games that we played. We had coloring books, things that would keep us occupied, because the worst thing that you want to hear is, "Are we there yet? Are we
Mm.
there yet? Are we there yet?" And they
I
repeat it
like the
over and
movie.
over. And they turn it into a game, right? So they count the mile markers. It's just annoying. So when you're traveling by car, even by plane, children don't understand. They don't have much of a concept of time. And I'm not a parent, but I've just seen how children act on planes, and it can be very frustrating for the parents, making sure that they are, first of all, making sure your child is healthy enough to travel if you're flying by plane. Because some people don't realize that their child may not be healthy enough to travel on a plane. This is why They may have inner ear issues. So get your child, just like a senior citizen, you have to treat the children with care, a lot of care as well. Making sure that they don't need the child version of Dramamine, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that they don't have any dietary issues that could prevent them from traveling. Because some children do have allergies, they have dietary issues, they have, they could be allergic to dust or something. So you just know all these different things because you're traveling with different people from different countries. They're going to be exposed to a lot of things, making sure that you have that, all that information down pat. The second thing, if I had to list something with traveling with family, is to make memories. Remember to take pictures, excuse me, and make memories every step of the way. I mean, I see people in the airports or, the train station doing videos, and I used to think that's so corny. But now, now that I look at it, I'm like, they're making memories with the kids. They may not remember this stuff tomorrow, but later on, it will mean something to them. Always remember that, your children, they will eventually, hopefully have children. And it might be embarrassing, but later on, they will look back, they will appreciate those memories that you made with them. Um, Also try to find ways to save money with children. A lot of restaurants do like 12 and under is free, or even other countries they have like 10 and under is free. So try to find places that, and you can go like on Travel Noir, for instance. What's the other one? Their itineraries. If you go through their itineraries and you click like that you have children, some of these websites will tell you how much it will cost in these different places because they give you a framework itinerary that
Yes.
tells you how much it will cost with how many children, how many adults, everything. They help you book your flight. Like they help, it's like a all just one step type thing. And the last thing I'll say is someone put wow, $400 a year. Yeah. The last thing I would say is what was it? Making sure that if your children are of age, give them some money and let them, when you're with them, in the gift shops and stuff, let them buy something in the gift shop. It might be some little silly paperweight, but I wish when I was younger, my mama gave me at least like $5. Well, maybe not $5, like $10, because it's expensive in the gift shops. Let the children, buy something that they really like. It might be a little ugly SpongeBob, but a little SpongeBob pillow that's gonna get lost. But that means something, like just to have them, I got this in this country. Because when they go back to school, at the end of the summer, a lot
Yeah.
of times, the beginning of the school year and everything, you talk about what you did in the summer. And I remember seeing other kids in class who didn't go anywhere and they just sat there with their head down. It really means something when you spend time with your family. As everyone says who has parents, they grow up so fast. And in my nephew, I see that. In my little cousins and stuff, I see that. So yeah, that's all I have right now.
Okay.
Yeah, she
Let
said
me let me stroll this
vaccine.
down so everyone can see the other lovely pictures here. Let me play this. Everybody, I'm going to try to play this video. I think this is some beautiful black children. They're in another country, and I think they're at a celebration. If you can hear the audio and the video, press 1. I'm hoping that it works. So let's see. Let's see. So everybody can hear it in the chat room. That's good. Deep. I'm going to let the video play a little bit more. So these kids are traveling abroad. This is very important for our kids to see other parts of the world. I guess they're about to get ready to perform.
Yeah, I think Andrew put that scene.
Let me let the young man with the New York hat on. I'm gonna let it play for a little bit more, and then I'm gonna end that and slide down to some other areas. Oh, they must be like in Samoa somewhere, Polynesian. Okay, I'm gonna stop that there. Everybody got a little taste of that, and I'm really happy that the audio the audio is making it through, because I was very concerned about whether the audio was gonna make it through on this. So let me stop it there. So as you can see, folks, it seems to me that the kids are somewhere in a Polynesian part of the world, and this is the sort of stuff that our kids need to be exposed to, different types of stuff in the world. Now, I would say Africa is number one to where we need to bring our kids, to see people that look just like them. But travel allows the mind to expand itself and open up and have more imagination. Just living here in America and only having the experience here, in my opinion, it does limit you in your perspective from a global point of view. But as Neely Fuller Jr. always says, I'm still learning. I'm always learning. So we're always learning. You're never too late to travel. It's never too late to explore. Get your passports. This is very important, folks. I'm not going to stop saying that. Very important. Let me see if I can find this one more other article. If I don't have it, that's okay. I'm very impressed with what we've been able to present tonight. Let me see here. Oops. And let me see. So this is what we presented tonight. I hope everybody definitely got something out of it. Now I'm going to play, Sister Nicole, do you have anything else you want to add before I play the vacation therapy piece audio?
I'm sorry. I put some things in there about crowdfunding earlier, because I was saying, the two things that are important to realize is that a lot of times Black people are afraid, and there's a financial aspect there. So there are options. There are Black crowdfunding websites.
Yes.
I put one in there. I know for sure. The other one, I think it's Fundly. I'm not sure about that one. But there are others. I wanted to just keep things Black, because if it's a Black run crowdfunding website, the money's going circulating in our direction. And I think that's important. We have a lot of links. I was trying to put the links in as you were saying them. I know I missed a few.
No, it's okay.
But what else was? Oh, and there are some links at the beginning about saving money. Travel Noir has a 101, a travel 101 segment that they do, and they talk about how to save money when traveling. So before traveling, and while you're there, like they give
Mhm.
all these different ways to save money. Very good discussions. But if you go on Travel Noir's channel, I think it's at the beginning, the links at the beginning, you will see that they have a travel fund 101. Let me put it in there. Hold on. Travel fund 101. And it's on the Travel Noir channel. The other thing, so those are the 6 things. The last thing, well, number 4 was the countries that are Black friendly, and I think we kind of went through that. Some of your links
Oh,
you posted, it's
yeah.
in there in those links.
Yeah, those when I
There's
was
one from Al
naming,
Jazeera that you discussed once. I
yeah.
have that link too.
Let me look at one more other thing, Nicole. Um, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. I may want to do a quick review if I still have this, and I'm hoping that I still have it. I'm hoping. Please let me have this. No, that's not it. Let me try something else. Maybe that's it. Um, oh, this is the one that I didn't put on the screen that I should have put on the screen. And wait a minute, let me this is the one that talks about for us by us, 5 Black owned travel. Oh, I did put this on the screen, I think.
Yeah.
5 Black owned travel groups you should know about. I travel while Black. Let me just kind of remind people, you've got the Noel Travel Company, you got the Black Travel Moment. This is a movement, Black Travel Movement. Let me.
I have the link.
You have the link already in there
It's
for folks.
Onika
Okay, good.
Traveler. Yeah, I got it.
Everybody, check out that link. Do your research. Don't be afraid. I think don't be afraid to explore and branch yourself out. And I'm making an all call out to everybody in the chat room, everybody that's a part of this family, that maybe we should consider to create our own little travel group, and we can make our first goal to find a destination where we all can travel and meet each other in person. If not doing, and if it's not out of the country, there's nothing wrong with us doing it within the country, just to meet somewhere that maybe none of us have ever been in this country. And then from there, once we meet and develop that connection on that level, we can strive for the bigger goal, which is to try something abroad. Maybe we can do that the first time. We just gotta let go of the fear. We just gotta be willing to be bold. I left a link in the chat room. If anybody want to come in and do a quick Q&A before we end this, True Royal Queen, if you want to come in and do a quick Q&A with us, if there's any questions you have or anything you want to add, I left 2 links in the chat room. Come on in before we put a crescendo on the program tonight. So I'm going to be waiting. My man, Real Alan Collins, I send you 2 emails to your email if you wanted to come in and say a few words before we end this program this evening. Speak now or forever hold your peace, Black folks in the chat room. Let me read a couple of things in the chat room. Let me read a few things that people are saying in the chat room. We've got definitely, I'm coming with my team and radio station colleagues. We come to the event every year. Oh, what's this? The festival? What festival is that? The 23rd and 24th of June. What festival is that? Costa Rica. Yes. Okay, that's the fabulous. We got Underrated Darkness. Yes, I'll be going to the Bahamas, Jamaica, St. Thomas. Great job. That's great. Real Underrated Darkness. That's great. Let's see. What are the things that people are saying in there? Let's see. Max Evans, West Africa still got the Ebola travel ban. Yeah, you got to be careful. Yeah, that's very important. We need to also mention that before you travel to these places, do your research. Find out what type of diseases, what type of issues that are going on that you may need to avoid or be aware of. Now, of course, when you travel abroad to places like Africa and other places in the world, I think in the United States, part of the requirement is that you got to get certain shots. Am I right or wrong about that, Nicole?
I
You're
was
into the
putting the links
sciences.
in there. It's
Oh, okay.
different. It depends on where you're going and where
Okay.
you're coming from. So I put those links in there. There's a lot of questions around that. It does
Okay.
depend on where you're going. I didn't need any shots. I went to Puerto Rico. I didn't need any shots, but I clearly don't need any within the U.S. But elsewhere around the world, that will change, and it's going to change even more as
Yes.
we go into the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have other people from other countries in Asia coming into Africa, for instance, bringing a lot of other diseases there.
Yes.
Here we have syphilis. California is like what, number 3 syphilis. We have hepatitis, meningitis. We have cholera, hepatitis, meningitis, syphilis. Uh, there's another one. The fifth one, staphylococcus
Wow.
aureus, like in MRSA. Really bad here in California. I don't know. Well, I do know what it is, but and if you think about it, you know what it is too.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, it's really bad. So if it's bad here, and you look at the people where they're coming from,
mm-hmm.
it's only going to get worse in the motherland where these people are going from all over.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. That's why I was saying it depends on the age of the child and if they were vaccinated prior to leaving. My thing is, I would just say, don't take the risk, and leave your child with family members you can trust, depending on their age. Because if they're under the age of like 16, I would not risk it. That's just my personal opinion. I would not risk that. Wait until they're a little older, perhaps. Everyone has their own discretion, but the way things are, it's good to travel with your family, but um, yeah, you never can be sure, right? Depending on where you're going. If you're at a more advanced country, I think it's fine. I think it's okay. But if you're going to like Singapore or somewhere you're not sure, no.
Okay. Let me just make this announcement because I got a few. I
Oh,
got a lot of
underwear
people in
darkness is
the.
here.
I got a lot of people in the Facebook chat room, and I want to show them respect. And
Oh,
thank you for being with me, being with us tonight. Those of you that are listening and watching in the Facebook Live, if you're not familiar, I'm actually broadcasting this on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the Information Man Show, all 3 words, Information Man Show. Hit the bell, get your black fingers and your black butt over to your iPhones, your Droid phones, your tablets, your PCs, and subscribe. Don't let me put the preacher music on for you because I will. And also everybody out there listening, if you're new to the channel, new to the chat room, go ahead and make sure you check out Nicole Ali's channel on YouTube. Subscribe to her channel. Check out True Royal Queen. Check out my man Real Aaron Collins channel. Check out my man Underrated Darkness channel. Check out Marlo's Corner. Check out Oyapo's channel. Make sure you get your black butts over to Be Fabulous. I love her from Detroit. She has a great channel. Subscribe. Okay, got my man Lowcast out there. I want to give a special love out to my man Gab Talk Media, Superfly75. I'm supposed to be doing some things with him. I want to give an all alert out to all black men, all the brothers out there. This either Friday or Saturday, I'm calling for all the brothers for an all brothers panel to address some issues, black male issues, from the perspective of James Evans Sr. Put that black belt on your behind. Okay, we need to get back to discipline of our community. Black men need to be stabilizing these communities. I know you're going to say, hey, I didn't create the problems. It was Pookie and Ray Ray that created the problem. So why should I have to come back and clean the black community up? Well, if you don't want to come back and help clean the black community up, those black communities that need cleaning, because I don't want to stereotype all black communities, if you don't want to come back and help out, then stop complaining about black communities and stop complaining about what black men are not doing. Because I was on a live with Lowcast one night, and I had to get into the butt of somebody who got on there talking about that black men don't police our communities. And then when I asked him, well, what are you doing to help the matter? he sat up there and told me it's not his responsibility. And then I said, well, how in the hell could you say that while at the same time saying that black men are not doing anything for their communities? That's a cop-out. That's a coward, as far as I'm concerned. Don't want to hear any of that nonsense. Because once these young brothers and sisters grow up and knock you over your black head, first thing you're gonna say is, who raised these kids? Okay. And that's why mentoring is very important in your community. Identify young black males and young black ladies. If you're not part of an organization, identify an organization that's trying to turn things around. We know that education alone doesn't mean that your kids are going to be wealthy, but I think education and maybe some type of job skills, something that makes them marketable, will help them. I'm going to be doing a live stream very soon about if you have a felony, black people, if you're coming out of prison, you are a black man, a black woman, and you say to yourself, I can't get a job, I've got a felony. Well, guess what? I've got a 3 to 4 page list. I got it straight from the horse's mouth. I deal in the prison environment. There is a complete list that I'm going to rattle off that will let you know where you can find employment, because they are hiring those that have felonies. And it ain't just fast food. We're talking about tech companies. I know here in the California area at San Quentin Prison, they're teaching inmates there, brothers that are in prison, how to do coding for computers. That's big money. So that's just my little commercial I'm giving you right now. Let me go. And True Royal Queen, if you're out there and you want to come in and bless us with a few words, go right ahead before we end this. Let me go right over to Sister Nicole before I bring in the True Royal, before I bring in Underrated Darkness and the real Aaron Collins to bless us with a few words. Do you have anything you want to say, sister?
No, I just want to say thank you. That's really it. Thank you for having me here on your program. I had a good time. My fingers were working, so but I
Sister,
was
you brought a
getting the
level.
links in there as you were saying the information.
You
So I just
brought
wanted to
a
keep it flowing. But thank you very much.
no, but thank you, because you made this broadcast tonight very professional. We were on top of it. We weren't BSing around here. We got right into the issue. We brought up very valid points. What I'm gonna do when this stream is over, I'm gonna viral it, but I'm gonna wait, because YouTube plays games with us. I'm gonna have to wait a couple of days to make sure this whole video goes to completion from start to finish. And once I identify that it's going to be completed from start to finish, then what I'm going to do, sister, I'm going to completely viralize this video across this world, and so that it gets exposure. Now, what I did tonight, which is what I really want to do with everybody listening, to do a live stream where I give you some bells and whistles about how to improve your YouTube channel. The name that I use tonight, Black People Create Travel Groups Now. That's a viralized title that I just created. I use that title specifically because that title will push, along with views and attention to the video, that's going to push us into the stratosphere in YouTube, on YouTube that deals with Black travel. So it's going to push us in that stratosphere and hopefully bring traffic to the program. And I'm going to say once again, take your Black behinds to Nicole Ali YouTube channel and subscribe. Everybody subscribe. I'm telling you right now, her subscription count, when I take a look at it, I expect that subscription count to start increasing. So Black folks, support what she's doing. Those of you who find this video, it's under my channel. I want you to go over to Nicole Ali's channel as well, who's on this platform, on this Google Hangout with me right now, who's been doing good work. Sister's doing a fantastic job. Make sure you bring your Black behinds and find her on the YouTube. And I'm going to probably, after this is all over, Nicole, I'm going to put a link of your channel in this video. I'm also going to put it in the card description as well, so that there's traffic being brought over to your channel. Okay, sister, I'm going to do that. We got to support each other. Let me take, brothers, unmute yourself so that you can talk. I want y'all to unmute yourself so that you can talk. Underrated Darkness. Let me go over to my man, Underrated Darkness. Brother, how are you feeling tonight? And how has the program, from your perspective, how has it come off? Or how is it working?
It's come off very, very encouraging. We gotta think about, travel to learn more about our culture. What I meant to say in the chat, when I was with the X in New York, I've traveled to those places, but it's been through the cruise or timeshare. Also, we should look in timeshare too, and that's one thing we should look at too. Right. And the thing about when I went to those places, I see our culture, but at the same time, and be expected that you see like the certain European ring for going on for centuries. And but our history is so rich in these countries, the countries that I put in the chat, and I really enjoyed myself the hours that permitted to go to those places. But I advise people to look at the timeshare. Look at the timeshare. If you with a woman or you with a man or whatever it is, look at the timeshare. If you know somebody that at the timeshare, sometimes they have a lot of points, so they could take a look out for you and stuff like that. So invest that in timeshare, and I really enjoyed the show. I really enjoyed it. We should definitely, and for me, have some experience of traveling. It brings you will have a broader attitude of what's going on, in 5 people around the world. And the one thing too, I think I said this in the chat. Don't be also travel in cruises. It's very important. They go to some of our countries. They give you 8 hours to be at a country, and then you get back on the boat. At least trying to get yourself used to it. So the next time when you come, you can stay longer. So that's my advice.
Thank you. Thank you. You might have a little audio on, brother. If you can mute that audio, and make sure you all subscribe to the brother's channel. He gets into issues around proper nutrition, organic foods. He has a sports program that he engages in as well. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Take your black behinds over to the Underrated Darkness channel. Now, my man, this morning, and I don't want you to laugh, brother, real Aaron Collins, but this is true, brother. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be raw and uncut here. This morning, I woke up, got in the shower. Something told me to check out the YouTube, right? And I found your videos that you were talking about Tariq and the things he was saying about Cynthia G. And then I went over to listen to what he said more in detail. And I have to say, not to get too far off subject, brother, all I want to say to you is I agree with a lot of things you were saying as I was taking my shower. And I had I connected my my phone device to my my Bluetooth speaker device and had you blazing through my place, speaking your truth, brother. So I want to appreciate your words, what you had to say about that. But not to get off subject, brother, how did you perceive what Sister Nicole presented, what we presented tonight?
Well, it's actually it's actually right on time. It's not a bad idea at all. And with the conditions and the atmosphere that's going on in America today, as far as we're concerned, it's much needed. Like I said, it's right on time. I mean, look at all these random incidents that's happening to us. You got the pissed off Becky calling the cops for people barbecuing, and just today in Houston, we had a little boy almost get kidnapped. Well, he got kidnapped, but he got away. Mm-hmm. And we definitely need to go somewhere to have a safe space. And as far as what you were saying about traveling with a whole bunch of stuff and being humble, that's very important. Because so many times we like to go out and we like to flash and shine, and which is nothing wrong with it, but you got to understand where you are. Because like you said, a lot of these places are underdeveloped, and they see the first First of all, they can already smell American on you anyway, but you don't want
Yeah.
to really, you don't
Right.
want to, you don't want to increase your the possibility of you being harmed. So the best thing to
Well,
do would be go as plain Jane as you can go.
yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, brother, because of how mixed the mixture in Brazil, I could literally, both of us, I could literally go to Brazil, never open up my mouth, make sure I have my shorts and dress a certain way. Don't be bringing that American shiny crap with you. And unless I open up my mouth, most people would think that you're from Brazil. Now, if you speak a little bit of Portuguese, obrigado, thank you. You get into a little bit of that language, and it's kind of a trip because the language that they speak, just like what we're speaking over here in America, is the language of their slavers, right? So
Yes.
most black people in America, we don't realize that just like in England, when you have black people talking that English, we're talking the language, we're talking colonial language, man. We're talking the language of our oppressors. That's just the
Well,
bottom
guess
line.
what? Well, actually, guess what? Portuguese is also a language of the oppressor.
Yeah, that's what
Because
I was saying, brother. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the language of the oppressor. What we're speaking right now, English is a big time language of the oppressor. Let's just be honest.
well, if for help, if I was to ever go to Brazil, I could tell them that I studied capoeira.
Mm. There you go.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you.
that's a martial arts form. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. A lot of people think
African.
it's you break dancing. No, it's not break dancing. More like break your ass if
Break
you
your
get out of
neck.
line.
Now
Exactly.
you
But
know, brother Collins, you know the history of it. It was when they brought the slaves over there, they were in chains. That's how they had to learn how to fight,
yeah,
low to the
and they
ground,
had
in chains. That's where it
exactly,
comes from.
and they
Well,
had
no,
to
it was original in many
it was
countries in Africa, like Angola
Yes.
specifically,
yeah, Angola.
Gambia.
It was a wedding dance,
It was,
and
it was, yeah.
it was known as
Exactly.
the zebra dance, which
Hmm.
in the Angolan language it was known as the Angolo, which is the zebra dance, and it was part of the performance of the weddings. But when the Portuguese came and got the slaves, a lot of them were Bantu warriors anyway.
Hmm.
So slaves were forbidden to practice any kind of fighting moves, so they had to
Right.
disguise it as a dance. So that
There you
when
go.
the masters came around, they had to they're just a bunch of niggas dancing. No, don't think nothing of it. When in actuality, they were practicing to take over, and when they perfected their craft, they were able to fight off the Portuguese, the British, and some other people, and they hid out in the mountains of Brazil for about 30 years, and what
Hmm.
was called the quilombos.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yep. In Salvador, there's an area of Brazil called Salvador, which is a
Yeah.
known capoeira spot. And capoeira Angola was one of the styles. It's actually the style I studied because it's the original style, the original African style. Haitian now is the more mainstream style that you probably see on television and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
the
absolutely
information
right,
man
brother.
talked about that earlier.
Yeah. hmm
Hmm.
Um.
And one
Well,
thing to remember is Afro-Brazilian, not Brazilian, but
Afro,
Afro-Brazilian.
you're right.
Hmm.
You're absolutely right. Um. I like to say what I'm gonna do, brother, near the end of this presentation. Um, well, getting to end of this presentation, I'm gonna end the program with playing the audio of the vacation therapy, where you have a group of sisters that are leaving America to get away from, dealing with the stresses of dealing with white people in America. So, um, for the conclusion of the program, I'm gonna hit my little audio to play this to basically end the program. I want to thank you. I was hoping that True Royal Family would come in and bless us with a few words. But maybe I need to put another link in. I don't know.
No, she said smoothie time earlier. So
Oh, she having a smoothie?
she may be having maybe some allergy
Oh,
issues
okay.
because I remember she was sneezing or something earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe my allergies are killing me. Like I'm don't know how I'm even staying up, but yeah, she said smoothie time. It was a bunch of fruit. And
Okay.
that's what I do when I have issues with this weather, but she may not be on right now.
Yeah.
And I put a link in there for Zaza Ali. She has a lot of good information on her website. I know there's been a lot of, back and forth between her, other people, but if you look on her website and you listen to some of her streams, she has a lot of good information. So in the on the website they talk about a retreat, and I think it's for Black people in general. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, because there's a lot of retreats on there for health and wellness just for women. There are retreats for Black couples, so I'll put that in, and I'll be quiet now.
I think for the sake of time and making sure that this video all processes together, I'm gonna skip the audio that I was gonna play, and just in the stream with the music that I played in the beginning of the program. So with that said, what I need to do is another alert, brother Aaron Collins, brother Underrated Darkness, Locast, everybody out there. Let's try to come together this weekend, put something together around the issue that I had brought up earlier, and try to get brothers together. I've got to reach out to Real Research. And it was funny, man. My man searched for Uhuru, man. He sent me an email because he wanted me to come on, but I was telling the brother, hey, I work during the day, so I couldn't come on with him. And so if he's out there listening, because he's a brother that I would have loved to talk, I gotta talk to him, because he heavily travels in the continent. But if he's out there listening, I want to give him a shout out. Check out, search for Uhuru's YouTube channel. Check it out. Subscribe. Very dynamic brother. Everybody in the chat room, subscribe to the program. Subscribe to each other. Treat each other with respect, because all we got is each other. We got a lot of stuff going on in the world that's crazy. And with that said, I'm about to put a crescendo on the program. I want to thank brother Real Allen Collins, and I want to thank the beautiful, lovely sister Nicole Ali. Subscribe to her channel. I want them counts going up, folks. Thank you, sister. Thank you tonight.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Good evening to you all. Brother Collins, take care,
Bye,
brother.
Aaron.
All right.
All
Good
right.
night, Nicole.
Good night.
Love y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Information man. Information is power.
Woo! This was great tonight. I loved everything that we did. We were on time. Everything went smooth. No mess. No glitches. I loved it. Thank you all. Everybody out there in Facebook Live, thank you too for your support. Make sure you take your butts to the YouTube channel and subscribe. I love you, True Royal Queen. Thank you. Be fabulous. Thank you. Make sure y'all check out the Truth channel, the Elder Rashad channel. Very good channel. Brother says it like it is. Thank you, App, for supporting me tonight. App, Underrated Darkness, again. Thank you, guys. And I want to thank everybody that listens to this. Sonia C's, thank you. Black Dynasty, thank you for being here. Black Dynasty, Sonia C. Let me give you a little love here. Black Dynasty, thank you for being here. Hey, Brother Max Evans, thank you. Max Evans, brother, thank you for being here. King Wade, thank you for being here. Let me go to, where's my man, Conscious? Where's the brother, Conscious Genocide? Where is Conscious Genocide? Thank you for being here. Conscious Genocide. Thank you, Conscious Genocide. Everybody, thank you. Fantastic. Woo. I want to thank everybody. It's been fantastic tonight. Good night. This is Information Man.